What's going on, guys? My name is John Elder from codemy.com, and in this video, we're going to continue building out our calculator with Tkinter and Python. All right, guys, in the last video, we started to build out our calculator. It has a basic functionality. We can click numbers and things, but it doesn't quite work right in that way, and none of the other buttons work. So in this video, we're going to fix all that stuff. But before we get started, if you like this video and want to see more like it, be sure to smash the like button below, subscribe to the channel, and be sure to check out codemy.com, where I have dozens of courses with hundreds of videos that teach you to code. Use coupon code YouTube to get $22 off membership. That's all my courses, videos, and books for a one-time fee of just $27, which is insanely cheap. Okay, so in the last video, we got to this place where when we click the buttons, the last thing we clicked ends up being the first thing that shows up, which is not what we want. So like if you want to put in 104, it ends up 401. So let's just go ahead and fix that real quick. So close this out, head back over to our code, and we want to look at button click and come back. And what we have here is we need to insert the number plus whatever's already in there. So let's create a variable and let's call it current, the current thing that's in there. And we'll put that equal to e.get. Remember, we learned how to do this a few videos ago, right? So now we can kind of combine these. So we want the current one to be listed first. So we'll go current and then plus number. Now, this gets tricky because the plus will concatenate, but it also adds, right? So if we're talking about numbers here, we need to make sure that these are strings and not integers. So I'm going to call a string function, and we can make sure that this is a string, probably already is, but this one we want to absolutely make sure is a string because we're passing it in as an integer. If you come down here, you can see these numbers, these are numbers. If we were passing it like this, we could leave it like this and we wouldn't have to convert it to a string because that is a string. So however you want to do this, I'm going to leave it like this and just put it like this. So let's go ahead and do this. Now, let's save this and run it, but there's going to be a problem, and you'll see what that is right away. So if we go, say we want 15, 1, 5, it becomes 151. And if we do 7, now it's 1517, 151, because it's not deleting what's in there first, which we need to do that before we then put the new number on. That makes sense? So to do that, what we want to do is, after we make this current variable, and we don't really need to create a variable for this. We could have just put e.get right here, and that would have worked, but I like to do it this way. Before we do that, we need to sort of do a delete thing. So let's go e.delete. Oops. And we want to delete, if I could type, there we go. We want to delete everything that's in there. So we've done this before. We just go 0 and then call it end. So this should work. Let's run this again. Pull this up, run it. Hopefully this will do it. So 105, right, 105, 8, 7, 5. Okay, so that seems to work. So what do we want to do next? Well, this clear button, it would be nice if that worked. So let's just knock that out real quick. This is really simple. And in fact, we already did this right here, right? So we just need to put this in a function. So let's come down here to our clear button. And right now it's calling button.click. So let's change this to button.clear, right? So now we need to create this function. Let's just do this up here. Let's go define button clear. We don't need to pass anything into it. Let's make some space here. And all we need to do is e.delete. Boom. So let's save this and run it just to make sure that worked. So we're getting 5, 5, 5, 8, 9, 6. Clear. That didn't work at all. Error button object is not callable. Oh, you know what? We really don't need to lambda this thing. we can just go command equals clear. Let's try this, see if that works. Zoop. Pull this over, 5558, clear. 666985, clear. Okay, so that seems to be working. Let's clear the screen. Okay. So what do we want to do next? Well, I guess the only thing left to do is really dive into these two. Now, this gets a little bit tricky. It's not bad, but there's a lot of different ways you could do this. And to tell you the truth, I didn't put a whole lot of thought into it. I just did with the very first thing that I could think of. So you could probably do it more elegantly, but we'll do it this way just to see. So what we need to do is come down to our add button. And right now we're doing button.click. So let's change this to button.add. All right, so we need to define button underscore, I keep calling it dot underscore add. And all right, let's do that. Now, here's the process. Like, let's run this thing again just to sort of talk about my logic here. So let's say we want to add 2 plus 2, right? Well, when we do that, when we click the 2, it needs to read that into a memory of some sort. So it needs to remember that we put 2 in there, right? And when we click this, it needs to clear this so that we can type in the next number, right? And then when we hit equal, it has to take whatever we've written in the second time and add it to that thing that it remembered from the first time. That makes sense? So if we enter a 2 and click here, it has to remember 2, because then when we add 4 to it, then it has to take the 4 and add it to that first thing. And since we're dealing with functions here, variables can't really be passed from function to function. We're calling two different functions, the add function and the equal function. So how do we pass those numbers? Well, we can use a global variable. So that's what I'm going to do. So to do that, we would just come on over to our, where'd our code go? Come back. There we go. So our button add, one thing we need to do is pass a number. Let's call this the first number. It's the first number somebody types in, right? So over here in button add, we need to pass e.get, right? Or we could come up here and instead of passing that number, we could just pull it ourselves, e.get. So I think instead, yeah, let's do that. It'll be a little simpler. I'm just making this up as I go, you can tell. Okay, so instead of this whole thing, we don't even need the lambda anymore because we're not going to pass anything. We're just going to call the button add function. Okay, so let's call this first underscore number and set that equal to e.get. And then we need to make sure that it's a number, right? So, well, we can do that in a bit. Right now, we need to create a global variable. So we'll call global. And let's, instead of first number, I'm just going to call this fnum, first num, for first num, right? And we need to then assign something, oops, changed on me, f underscore num. Stop doing that. Okay, so now we need to assign that something. So let's go f num equals, and let's call, we need to make sure this is an integer, and let's call first number. All right, so now fnum is a global. We can use it outside of this function, and that'll work, right? So let's go ahead and then clear that text box. Remember, we need to do that. So we'll do the same thing we've done before, delete, and then 0 and end. Okay, so let's save this and run it. We won't be able to see if it works, but we'll be able to see if it's working. Let's see, at least. So if we go 5 plus, okay, it disappears. Okay, so that's working. So now the only thing that's left to do is to do our equal to one, right? So let's come down here to our lambda section. So button equal right here. And change this from button click to button equal. And same thing, I don't think we need to send anything through a lambda. We can just call the button equal function. So let's come over here and define button underscore equal. Okay, so what do we want to do? Well, first things first, we want to grab a variable, and let's call this second underscore number, and set that equal to e.get. Right, so this is gonna pull in whatever's sitting in that thing, in the text box, right? So now we need to, let's go ahead and e.delete just to make sure and that there's nothing sitting in that box. Now we need to, let's create a variable called answer. Well, we don't even really need to do that, do we? We can just sort of insert. Let's go e.insert. We've done this before. So same thing, 0. And now what do we want to insert? Well, we want to insert the answer. And the answer is our f underscore num plus, let's say, make sure this is a variable or an integer. Second number. Does that look right? So fnum is our global from our button add. Yep. And then second number is that. Now again, we could just do this eget instead of putting into a variable, but I like to put it in a variable. It's easier to read. Come back later, we can figure it out easier if we've forgotten. Okay, so let's save this and run it. I have no idea if this is going to work, but it should. So let's go 5 plus 2. It should be 7, right? 7! Ah! Let's keep going. Plus 3 equals 10. Plus 8 equals 18. Clear. 8 plus 2 equals 10. Pretty cool. So again, this is a very, very simple calculator. It's just doing one stupid thing, adding. If we want to multiply, divide, do all the other things, subtract, it becomes a little trickier because we have the same equal to button. And if we look at our code, the equal to, how does the equal to button know if you're subtracting or adding or multiplying? How does it know? Well, we'll look at that in the next video. So that's all for this video. If you liked it, be sure to smash the like button below, subscribe to the channel, and check out Codemy.com where you can use coupon code YouTube to get $22 off membership. So you pay just $27 to access all my courses, hundreds of videos, and the PDFs of all my best-selling coding books. So join over 50,000 students learning to code just like you. My name is John Elder from Codemy.com, and we'll see you in the next video.